I used to go to work with my mom. She'd always wear animal scrubs because she's a nurse.
Guys, give it up for the team behind I Wish You All the Best right here. Woo! That's a little thing we do. It's a little thing we do.
Oh my gosh, that's so joyful. Thank you.
Yes,
what a warm
guys,
welcome.
congrats on the big South by premiere. I got to watch this film last week. I really enjoyed it. It hit me right in the feels.
Oh,
I'm gonna say it's so tender and sweet and poignant by the end. Beautifully directed, beautifully acted.
Beautifully acted.
So yes, congrats, Tommy.
Thank
let's
you so
start
much.
with you.
Yeah.
You wrote and directed this. It was based on a book. How did you find it? What inspired you to take on this tale?
A friend of mine sent me the book, and at the time I was identifying as non-binary and I was acting, and originally it was, would you want to act in this or not, like kind of landed on my desk that way. And the minute I read it, I was like, I have to make this movie. I'm from the South. I felt so deeply connected to Ben and their journey, and I saw it so clearly. And at the time I was already working on other screenplays and preparing myself to transition from acting to more directing and writing. And it just was the perfect project to do that with.
Ben is a character who comes out to their parents as non-binary, and it doesn't go so well. And they find themselves moving in with relatives to find people that are going to support them, and find themselves along the way. Corey, tell us a little bit about how you related to Ben.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very clear journey in the movie of learning to not hide yourself, and to be honest with yourself about who you are and what you want and what feels comfortable. And there's something about knowing that, but then there's also something about being honest with other people about that as well. And I think that's something that I have gone through bouts of trying to navigate. And it's also just like such a universal thing, whether it comes down to identity or just, what summer camp you want to go to. Like, just like being honest with people is you don't want to let people down. And I think when it comes to parents and friends and yourself, it's not the easiest thing. So I was really excited to go on this journey as Ben. And I think I came out of it on the other end a little more sure of myself, a little freer, a little more empathetic to everybody just to everyone, honestly, because everybody's going through stuff.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, Tommy, what was your search like to find Ben? I mean, they're in every scene. You realize by the end of the movie, every single scene, like the casting was so vital here.
It really was. I feel grateful that I am also an actor because I didn't need anyone to prove that they could do it per se. So I was really open to seeing a wide range of talent for all of the roles, frankly. And of course, having someone who's so professional and also so grounded and so talented as Corey is like winning the lottery. And it really was this experience of seeing, auditions come through and seeing different versions of Ben. And then when I saw Corey's tape, it was so clear to me. The grasp that Corey has on the character was just so grounded, and it was exactly what I had written. It was the first time I'd ever heard words that I'd written read out loud, honestly, which was strange and exciting at the same time. And I think it's just really clear to me, and to have somebody who could really go on Ben's journey, but also be vulnerable enough to let the audience tag along felt really important. Yeah.
And Corey, tell us a little more about how you grew as an actor and as a person playing this role. Like I mentioned, it was a heavy load for any actor.
Yeah, it was a first time for me to be in all day, every day. I learned a lot about like stamina and endurance. drink lots of water. Like that's my number one tip. But also, I think just trying not to, I don't know what you said about being vulnerable enough to share the journey. I don't know that I really thought about it like that. And I feel like it's kind of setting me up for a bit of fear now, because when we were filming it, it was just so insular, and I was just so in my own world. And I don't really know where I was going with that, but I think it's just like I'm in my own world. Like, it's just it's scary to share yourself with an audience, but I look back on it and I'm like, okay, I went all in, and I'm grateful that I did that. And yeah, I don't know that I answered your question.
Yeah,
no, sure.
But I think it takes a lot of courage to act, period, right? And I think it was my job on set to not make people feel like they were bleeding out of their body in every scene, but to give people the environment to do their best work, whether that's department heads or actors or anyone in the crew, frankly, to feel like safe enough to just ground themselves in the story that we're telling, and that really being the central focus. And I was grateful that I had such an incredible casting crew who were able to be quiet and just be attentive and stay moment to moment in this journey, and everyone's really there for Ben at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's really a film that's going to draw a lot of reactions, whether it's young people or people of any age, connecting to it, relating to it, and also learning from it. What do you guys think are the biggest misconceptions about non-binary people that this film, addresses?
I think people who aren't non-binary or queer identified in some way, or people who don't necessarily know that many queer people or know that they know that many queer people, can often separate themselves from an experience. And so it felt important for me to show that, as a trans person, as a queer person who was, spent many years of my life out as non-binary, like advocating for the right pronouns and things of that nature, it felt really important for me to show that, like, it's quite a human experience at the end of the day. Like, everybody is transitioning in some version of their life. People are transitioning in and out of jobs, in and out of marriages, in and out of cities. And Ben is just existing as a 17-year-old, trying to understand what it means to think about stepping into adulthood. What does autonomy look like? What does independence look like? And it's a lot of these themes that I think are incredibly universal for audiences. And so, as much as this film is going to mean to the queer community and to non-binary kids who haven't seen themselves reflected before, I think it's going to mean just as much to cis straight people who can find inspiration in somebody really being their authentic self and finding confidence and learning how to trust your community and trust other people to bolster you if you're down.
Yeah, for sure. I was having that thought that it could also be a resource for parents who have children who are in similar situations, who are transitioning or want to transition. It's funny because working in the entertainment industry, we being sort of like on the coastal cities, we can be sort of in our own bubbles, and you watch a story like this and you go, parents in this country are still reacting to kids when they come out as trans or queer, as non-binary. How far do you think we've come, and how far do you think we still have to go when it comes to acceptance in this country?
I think when this book came out, we were in very different circumstances politically and culturally. I mean, we're living in a time now where there have been hundreds of anti-trans legislation bills passed, and in the judicial system currently in this nation, in Texas, where we're sitting, is sort of a hotspot of all of those things. So in many ways, there's been more oppression, which makes, I think, films like this more necessary and vital, just to exist out in the ether, because I do believe universally there is this acceptance that we might feel in coastal cities. I think there is a larger population of people who are not discriminatory against queer and trans individuals, and I think we still have a long way to go, of course. And to me, at the core of any kind of change or evolution is vulnerability, is letting people in, and letting people be good too. Yeah.
Corey, let's talk about the actors who play your welcoming relatives today, because you guys have some amazing co-stars, Alexandra Daddario and Cole Sprouse. What was it like to work with those two? Yeah,
it was amazing. I feel we started pretty much like with the three of us in our first week, and so I was very overwhelmed. My head was spinning, and Cole was just like such a grounding, like lighthearted presence. Like, he always has some funny thing to say. And so I feel like our dynamic kind of mirrored that of Ben. Ben and what's his name?
Thomas.
Yeah, so it was amazing, and Alexandra just, I wish that I got to work with her more. There's a limited number of scenes, but I feel like just the way that she has this whole world going on inside of her. It's like she can turn a 1-page scene into 3 minutes, and it feels like 3 minutes just like watching her. I felt so lucky. I felt like I just learned so much.
Also, a very memorable appearance from Lena Dunham. Talk
Yes,
about
yes,
how
yes.
Lena came into the picture.
It being my first film,
Amazing score.
Thank you. I wanted to also bolster myself like Ben with people in my life that I love and friends of mine. And we had this character, this art teacher who also needed to be a therapist, who needed to be all of these things. And we honestly was just like, we lucked out. I mean, Lena had read versions of the script, had mentored me in various ways as a filmmaker and as an actor in my life. I mean, I was in her wedding, like we're very close friends. And the timing worked out that she just happened to be in LA for the days in which we were shooting this role. And I called her and I was like, would you come play with us? Like, would you come? I think this is in so much in essence you, and also, your mother, and like all these other things. And you've been such a safe space for me in my transition. I think you have this organic quality, like all of these actors, like Alex is incredibly maternal, and Cole is incredibly understanding and curious, which I think Thomas is. And, I think it's really casting to me is like finding the essence and seeing where people meet. And, Lena is so quirky and smart and, caring and nurturing, but also like a tough love kind of person too. So I felt really, really lucky getting to work with her in that way.
Also great music.
Thank you. Brad Oberhofer is a genius.
Yes. Talk a little bit about the music, and also, because it's a South by and we celebrate not only film, but also television and also music. I would love a recommendation from each of you guys on what's a band or an act kind of flying under the radar that you would want to put people onto.
Okay. First part of the question. Music's great. Brad's amazing. We talked a lot about composition and how music can help, the audience tap into Ben's journey and different themes. I also brought in artist friends of mine to, either make songs, like Charlotte Lawrence, who's a friend of mine, made a new song that's in the movie. And then also tapped into like older bands that I grew up with, like Indigo Girls. But I would have to say, since we are in Austin, not a new artist, but re-emergence of Ben Queller, who's like a singer-songwriter. I think it's the 20th anniversary this year or last year of this album he made called Sha Sha when he was a teenager. And he lives in Austin. He's from Austin. And I listened to this song 13 by Ben Queller so much when I was making the movie. And I tried to get it in the movie. But I love him. And us being here, and he's sort of like a focal point of South by and Austin City Limits and everything else. So, yeah.
Very fitting. I need to listen to him.
You just don't know it, because I played a lot of music on set.
I was gonna say, like, the music it's great in the film, but like we have a 3-hour playlist that you made and sent out, and everybody got to collaborate. And what was really cool about filming with music was like each song on the playlist came to mean something to me, and so we could play the song, and then it would be like transporting to this one aspect of the character. And I liked that. I kind of learned that from you. Like, I've started to use that in my work now, making playlists.
I kind of directed with music. Like, when there wasn't dialogue, we'd have these long scenes. I like to shoot long takes. We'd have these like 7 to 10 minute long takes where we'd do different things in the bedroom, and I would change the songs, and then like I would see sort of how Corey as Ben reacted to that, and then the song "So Sad So Sexy" by Licky Lee just was the song we were playing in that one scene where it plays. And I don't want to give away too much, but that song is in the movie, and it was the one song when we left when we wrapped, where I was like, we actually have to have this song because it feels so integral to like the choreography of this moment in the film. But yeah.
Yeah, and my answer for an artist going under the radar, there's this guy named Matt Maltese.
Okay.
And he makes kind of like lo-fi, like jazzy music with like, it's just like live instrumentation, very beautiful. And he has a song called The Earth is a Very Small Dot. And his lyrics are just very introspective and a nice little like zoom out.
Okay.
What about you? Hit us with a rec.
I'm a big like underground hip hop guy, so I would say Open Mike Eagle, Odyssey. I could go on and on. I'm not going to bore you with all my underground hip hop recommendations. Guys, so great to talk to you.
Oh, so nice to talk to you too.
Huge congrats on the film.
Thank you.
It's so great. People are going to really enjoy this. Guys, the team from I Wish You All the Best once again.
Bye.
Sometimes my face reminds me so much of my dad's.